Rebel commander George Washington is determined to seize Quebec before Britain can use it as a springboard to invade the 13 colonies.
I need not mention the great importance of this place.
In the summer of 1775, General Washington sends 2 armies to invade Quebec. One force of 1,000 men will sail up Lake Champlain and the Richelieu River to strike at Montreal. It is led by Richard Montgomery, once a captain in the British Army, now the youngest Major General in the American Army. But the second attack is to be the real surprise, coming up through the wilds of Maine and then up the Chaudière to assault Quebec. This backdoor route is so treacherous that even the Indian raiding parties spurn it. It is led by a Connecticut hothead who will be one of the Revolution's greatest heroes, then its most despised traitor.
I am now on my march to Quebec to restore liberty.
Fortunately for Carleton, Benedict Arnold's army is a wreck. The map George Washington gave him is 15 years old and underestimates the distance to Quebec by 200 miles. Most of Arnold's boats have been smashed to pieces, the food and supplies swept away in the freezing water. The survivors are reduced to eating their candles and shaving soap, even the leather of their shoes.
Many of the men began to fall behind, and those in any condition of march were scarcely able to support themselves, so that it was impossible to bring them along. If we tarried with them, we must all have perished. Private George Morrison.
A few days later, Montgomery's Americans take Montreal without a fight. It is a skeleton army that finally emerges at Point-Levis to stare across at the ramparts of Quebec. Of the 1,200 men who started out, less than 700 remain. But Arnold is still eager for battle. On the morning of November the 15th, he marches his men onto the plains outside the city walls and taunts the garrison to come out and fight.
I am ordered by His Excellency General Washington to take possession of the town of Quebec. I do therefore, in the name of the United Colonies, demand immediate surrender of the town and fortifications.
Montgomery and most of his officers are cut down. The rest of the Americans flee back to camp. Benedict Arnold knows none of this. His force of 700, attacking from the other side of Lower Town, runs a gauntlet of fire below the city walls. Arnold himself is stopped by a musket ball in the leg, but his men fight their way to the rendezvous in Lower Town where Montgomery is supposed to join them. They don't know he's already dead, and no one is coming.
The enemy having the advantage of the ground in front, a vast superiority of numbers and dry and better arms gave them an irresistible power in so narrow a space. It was apparent to all of us that we must surrender. It was done.
The fortress has held. As soon as the ice breaks on the St. Lawrence, British ships arrive with reinforcements, and the American invasion of Quebec, begun almost a year earlier, collapses in failure.